Paul and I, people probably don't know this, but Paul and I, we played against each other as kids. We became teammates at the age of 14 um, in Toronto for the Toronto Young Nats. Paul sort of followed in my footsteps. He ended up in Sault Ste. Marie the year after I was there. And then, of course, he ended up in Edmonton. And I always say this to people, that he was so underrated as a player. Bobby Orr was the greatest defenseman to ever live, and maybe him and Gordie Howe, the two greatest players that ever did play the game. But I always say Paul is so underrated. People don't realize how great of a player he was, and how good of a teammate he was. You know, in 1980, he was one of the first hockey players to start riding a stationary bike after a hockey game. And I used to say to him, I'd say, what are you doing? Say, you know, you got to ride after a game. So he was not only a great player, but he was dedicated and he was ahead of his time. And man, could he skate. We used to do this drill, 4 or 5 man units in each corner. And Charlie Huddy and Paul were always with myself, Yeri, and Semenko or Tikkanen. And it was 3 laps one way and then sort of 3 laps the other way. And we do that like 3 different times. And always inevitably on the second lap, he would turn and start skating backwards. And not one of us could catch him. And he would skate backwards for that second lap. And I'd be swinging my stick at his ankles trying to get him to slow down. And I always said this, I said, I never really got to see Bobby Orr skate live. The equipment he used was basically running shoes with a blade on it. And they tell me that Bobby was the greatest skater anybody ever saw. But I always said, my gosh, if he was a better skater than Paul Coffey, he must have been skating on top of the ice, because Paul was really unique and really special and one of the most beloved teammates that anybody could have. And obviously went on to be a great champion. And the one thing that people might not know about Paul is his passion for the game is just incredible. And he coached youth hockey for years and years and just truly enjoyed it and loved sharing his knowledge of the game. And he's really one of the most respected teammates anybody could ever have.